Welcome VR lovers, my name is Tony and today I'm going to show you how I made my own Mamut style grips for the Oculus controllers. Now as you can see in the video, these work well, they stay in my hand, they're comfortable, and I'll show you how you can do that for less than 10 Australian dollars. So let's take a look. Now, like most other VR users, I'm super pumped to get my hands on Half-Life Alyx when it releases March this year. Now, being a Valve title, you can reasonably expect that it will make the most of the Valve Index controllers. And these controllers, as you can see, have a strap that attaches to your hands, which means when you throw an object in VR, you can let go of the controller and it will still stay in your hands and give you a very realistic throwing experience. In the same way, if you have nothing in your hand in VR, you can release the controller and only grab onto the controller when picking something up in VR, which just increases that immersion. Now you can buy some accessories for the Oculus that allow a similar kind of experience where the controller attaches to your hand. These are the Mamut grips that you're seeing here, and what they do is they add these rubber grips at the bottom of the controller, and also those shoelace type things help hold your hand in place so you can let go fully, just like with the Index controller. And I hear they're a great product. The only problem is they cost $29.99 US, which is about 45 Australian dollars. It isn't going to break the bank, but if you don't have that kind of cash or you don't want to spend that kind of money, then what are the alternatives? Well, here is one alternative, a homemade Mamut style grip. Now this cost me $8.40 Australian, which is about $5.50 US, so about a fifth of the price, less than that. Now I want to say that I was actually in two minds about making this video just because it was a personal pet project of mine. I wasn't sure if people were interested, but I shared the idea with the Oculus Facebook groups and there was some interest. So I thought, look, I can share this idea and people can make of it what they will. But just keep that in mind. This was something that I'm just intending to use myself, but I hope you can get use out of some of the ideas here. And the Oculus Facebook groups are full of very nice, supportive, friendly people. It's a really nice community. Check it out if you're not part of one already. So I had a few attempts at this. I bought a few different things, rubber bands, shoelaces, Velcro ties, cable ties, you name it. And this design I've come up with now is probably the best out of the lot, and it only uses two items. The first item being these silicone travel bottles. Now they're 2x 89mm bottles. They're about 11.5 centimeters tall, and I got them in a place called the Reject Shop, which is in Melbourne, Australia. They're $6 Australian, and this is what they look like. Now, don't worry if you haven't got a Reject Shop near you, because I don't think they're really hard to come by. I went on Amazon and I could see a whole range of bottles. Some look very similar to the ones I've got, and you might even find silicone travel bottles that actually work better than mine. And now the second item is these Velcro straps. Now I got them from Daiso. This is a Japanese store, also in Melbourne, Australia. Now the Australian website, for whatever reason, doesn't show the product, but the Daiso Japan website does. And so here are the details of these straps. They are 45 by 3 centimeters or 17.7 inches by 1.2 inches. And again, don't worry if you can't find the exact ones. It's not like Velcro straps are hard to come by. I did a quick search and found a ton of different straps, some again that might be better than the ones I'm using. And all of these links, by the way, are in the video description below. So now we've got our items, let's start making the grips. So what I do first is I take off the top of the bottle. Then I get some scissors and some masking tape. Now I use the masking tape as a cutting guide. So I make a line around the top rim of the bottle. Then I cut along the top edge of the masking tape. Now I'm cutting it to a height of 10 centimeters, and this will mean that it will stick out from the bottom. And we want this to happen because we don't want it fitting too closely to the bottom of the controller, because what happens if it does is it squashes your hand up and it doesn't feel good. So you want it sticking out just that little bit like you see here. Okay, next I want to cut a slot for the wrist strap to poke through. So you can see the wrist strap is just off on a slight angle at the bottom of the device. So I get my masking tape once again, I mark where the wrist strap is. Now you don't have to be super precise with this, but as close as you can get the slot to where the wrist strap is, the better. So now I'll just use a Stanley knife to cut that little slot where the wrist strap is going to poke out of. Now we're going to try and thread our wrist strap through that slot we just made. And I'm going to use a cable tie like this to help me do that, because it makes it a lot easier to poke it through the slot we just made. So I'll just give it a quick test and it's working fine, no issues. Next we take our Velcro strap. Now we need to make an incision along the bottom of the bottle. Now make sure you make this incision in such a way that when you thread the strap through it, it aligns with your knuckles. With this particular bottle, I'm cutting across the molding line, and I'm obviously going to make the incision big enough for the Velcro strap to fit through. Okay, and we're pretty much done. So what I've got to do now is put the controller back into the hand grip. I again thread the wrist strap through the incision we made on the side. And I put the controller in just like last time, except this time I have the Velcro strap inside the grip and coming out of the bottom. Now I'll just wrap the strap around the controller ring and then around my knuckles and adjust it until it feels nice and comfortable. And there you have it, your Mamut style grip. Now I need to do some more modifications. For example, that inside trigger there, sometimes the grip rides up and covers that trigger, so I have to provide a bit more clearance. Like you see with the Mamut grip here, there's quite a bit of clearance between the grip and the inside trigger button, so that's an easy fix. Now you might be wondering, does the Velcro strap covering the ring affect the motion tracking in any way? Well, I tested it and I couldn't notice a real difference. But the beauty of this design is that you can try out all different straps. For example, here is a prototype I'm trying out using shoelaces and toggles. So it doesn't cover the infrared sensors in the ring near as much as the straps that I used previous. And this method works just fine. It's comfortable and it stays attached to my hands despite my best efforts to try to throw it off. So really, it's up to you. Try different straps, experiment, see what works for you, see what you find the most suitable. And now I'm going to compare it to another hand grip method, which is completely free. And I saw the YouTuber VR Ninjoe do this method. You can see a link to his original video in the description below. And essentially what you do is you get your wrist strap, you loop it around the back of the controller like you can see me doing here. And then you pass your hand through those loops with your index finger going below the first loop but coming out the top of the second loop. So you can see me demonstrate that more clearly here. Then you just adjust it so it's wrapping comfortably around your knuckles and around your fingers until it feels quite secure. It did feel a bit looser just generally on my hand, but it was quite good. Like just relaxing my hand, I could let go of the controller and it would just stay there. So it was a decent method, but when I tried a throwing motion, that's when it felt a bit unstable. I was actually worried it was going to come off at some point, so I didn't give it everything I had just in case. Now, it is a great method, particularly for free, and if you're playing your Quest quite casually, it can work quite well. But I have to say I did prefer my own controller straps for a few reasons. Firstly, with my grips, I still have the wrist strap on, But with this free method, you're using the wrist strap to attach to your hand, so if that does come off, there's no safeguard and your controller will go flying. The other reason why I preferred my method is that the wrist strap isn't necessarily made for that purpose. So if you're throwing things around in VR, I'm not sure the long-term effects that will have on the wrist strap, whether it will damage it or break it over time. Now, one drawback to the design is taking off the cover and putting it back on again to change the batteries will take you a bit longer than it used to. Also, it's clearly not going to look as good as these Mamut grips. But on the positive side, the silicone provides a nice grip so you don't lose your grip on your controller. It also prevents the battery cover from coming on and off. And most importantly, it's comfortable and it fits securely to your hand and can be easily adjusted. And best of all, it's really cheap. But give it a go yourself. I'd love to hear about some of the designs you come up with, if you improve on the design, if you make a different design, and hear about how it worked for you. I'm on Facebook. I'll put the link to my Facebook page in the description below so you can contact me there, or you can post a comment below. But that's about it from me. If you like the video, remember to subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.